And in Islam, what Islam has done, it attached itself to Christianity, to Judaism. For example, it says, yeah, we believe in the Torah and in the Gospel. We believe in Moses and Abraham and Noah. And so in my mind, I thought all of them are the same family. I didn't even know Jesus was a Jew or he was from Israel. Nothing. So when I began to see the cruelty of Islam and the injustice and evil that is in it, I completely realized that either there's no God, or if there's a God, it couldn't be this one.
Ramin has a unique story. Ramin is ex-Muslim, grew up in Iran. I think I better ask you to tell us about yourself, and then we'll go into a discussion.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Iran as a Shiite Muslim.
Shiite Muslim.
Shiite Muslim. And all my life I heard bad things about Israel and the Jews. And we were told that Islam is the best and the last, and Muhammad was the most perfect person ever. So we grew up in that environment. And
growing up, did you study the Quran and the Hadith?
Yes, but mostly culturally. Like we would go and read in Arabic, for example. We didn't understand the meaning. They told us if you read in Arabic, you get more points to go to heaven. So we read the Quran and the Hadith, and we prayed in Arabic, which we don't understand, but we just memorize and we repeat. And so I was trying to be a good Muslim. I loved God as a boy, and they told me Allah is the God. So I began to follow and pray, go to mosque, and fast in Ramadan. And we were Shiite, so we used to go beat ourselves with chains on the streets, all to please Allah, hoping and wishing to go to heaven. And so when I was 16 years old, something happened to me that it changed my life. In fact, before that, I saw so many bad things on the streets. I saw people being executed publicly, hanging from a crane. I saw people being tortured, beaten. And they told us these are infidels, these are the enemies of Allah, these are Zionists or the spies for Israel, all these things. And so when I was 16 years old, I was arrested and tortured by the regime in Iran.
Why?
I was going to a wedding and I was in the car of some relatives. They gave me a ride. My family was already there at the wedding, and they had some alcohol. And based on Islamic law, you can't even have or possess or make or buy or sell or drink alcohol. And they had some, not really drunk, but probably a little. And my only crime was I was in the car. And there's the Islamic checkpoint. They pulled the car over and they began to smell the alcohol. And they asked us to come out. They put us in a bus. And the bus got filled so fast because they arrested so many people for different reasons. And they took us to a confinement, to a jail, and then they took all our clothes off, bare naked. And they start pouring cold water on us and whipping us with this big, thick electric cable. And then they had us face the wall, sit up, sit down. Then they took us threw us into a room, a small room, and we were choking, no food. One boy.
And all that because you were sitting in a car.
Sitting in the car.
That somebody had alcohol in it.
Exactly.
Wow, unbelievable.
And it's not like in America or in Europe that they test your breath or if you're a driver or if they don't care who did it, who didn't. They just you are a part of the crowd, you go to jail. And I was 16. I didn't drink alcohol. I didn't do anything wrong. And I saw the cruelty of these people. I saw how these Islamists, they were beating people, torturing people. We had only one boiled egg in the morning, one boiled egg at night, one bottle of water forever to drink. Restroom one time in the morning, one time at night, 60 seconds. So I saw the cruelty. I said, is this Islamic justice? Is this Islamic law? And so I became the victim. And then we went to court and with shackles on our hands and our feet, we paid a fine and they released us. But that was the beginning of when I began to question Islam. I began to say, what kind of religion is this? What kind of justice is this? And my mother said, no, Islam is good. These people make it look bad. I said, okay. Then I began to do my own research. I began to read with translation to see whether what Muhammad said and what this regime does is contrary and opposite. And I began to read the Quran, the Hadith, and I saw, wow, so much evil in the Quran. Muhammad killed people. I saw Muhammad beheaded people, cut people's hand off. It says not to be friends with Jews and Christians, Surah 551. Muhammad says, don't take Jews and Christians for your friends. In Surah 9:29, Muhammad said, kill those who don't believe in Allah, His messenger, and in the religion of truth, which is supposedly Islam, and they don't believe in what Allah and His messenger made unlawful. kill them unless they pay jizya, blood money. In Surah 9:28, he cursed the Jews and Christians. In Surah Muhammad, verse 4, it says, behead the infidels wherever you find them. So when I saw these things, I saw, wow, this could not be from God. So I lost my faith in Islam completely. But at the same time, I was asking and questioning, so where I come from? Who made this world? If there's no God, then who made the world? If there's a God, then who is he? And in Islam, what Islam has done, it attached itself to Christianity, to Judaism. You know, for example, it says, yeah, we believe in the Torah and in the Gospel. We believe in Moses and Abraham and Noah. And so in my mind, I thought all of them are the same family. I didn't even know Jesus was a Jew or he was from Israel. Nothing. So when I began to see the cruelty of Islam and the injustice and evil that is in it, I completely realized that either there's no God, or if there's a God, it couldn't be this one. Then from 16 to 19, many things happened. My father died. I lost my school. All my hope was gone. Life was meaningless, depressing, sad, and uncertain. Everything seemed like so meaningless for me. I wanted to know the meaning of life. I didn't want to live in this world that is so dark and depressing. And so when I was 19 years old, for first time, I heard about Jesus. I heard that...
Who told you?
So first time I heard through a radio, and on this radio I heard about that...
Iranian radio?
Yeah, it was broadcasting from outside. I don't know which radio was it. I heard a testimony, actually. It wasn't the gospel. I heard a testimony of a guy who was going to kill himself, and then he heard this music as he was going to take his life. He followed the music, he went to a church, and there he became a Christian. His life changed. That's all I heard. But I didn't make much of it. And then a few weeks later, I heard through satellite, broadcasting into Iran from outside, that Jesus is the Lord, and he died for me, and he rose from the dead. And I said, no, that's too good to be true. You know, how could God have a son? I could, you know, all these, he rose from the dead. And I said, no. Second time I heard again. The third time I heard, I said, okay, Jesus, if this is true, I ask you to show me. I ask you to come into my life. If it's real, be my Lord, be my Savior. And I prayed this prayer. I said, if it's real, I want to see. Show me something. I want to see. And the moment I say that, a heat went through my hand, through my left hand. The heat went through my hand, went through all my body. I began to shake and tremble. I began to cry. And I felt this love and this peace and this joy I'd never experienced before. I felt a burden was lifted off my shoulder. I began to feel love for people, for anybody who had hurt me. I began to forgive them. I began to feel forgiveness and love and joy. I mean, it was a instant transformation. It wasn't a process.
Beautiful.
I was just full of joy. I was jumping up and down. And then I went to my mom's house. And my mother was sick for many years. She had a chronic disease. And so I knew, I had, you know, for years I prayed to Allah. We used to go to mosque and beat ourselves. We go to the shrines of these imams and begging and praying and throwing money. Nothing happened. But the first time I said, Jesus, he showed up. I felt his power. So this time I knew whatever I asked, he will answer me. My mom saw me. She said, what happened to you? Your face is shiny. I put my hands on my mother and I prayed for my mother. And my mother got healed. So my mother became my first convert. And then my sisters and my brothers. And in Iran, there's an underground movement, millions of people becoming believers.
Let's talk about it.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. You say, we hear stories that millions of people, is it really true?
Yes.
Millions of people are coming to know.
Yes, millions of people coming to Messiah, and they say there's 8 million believers.
8 million
believers. Iran is 85 million, and they say...
So that's 10% of the population?
10%, exactly.
It's unbelievable.
So people are coming to the Lord.
And they're all in all underground churches? Underground
churches, all home churches, because it's illegal. In Iran, you can't become a believer. It's against
Now tell us, what brought you here?
So, long story, I escaped Iran. I was a refugee. I went to America. I went to a Bible college, and I was pastoring a church in California, Iranian church. I began to reach to Iranian. And 3 years ago, I met my wife. She's a Messianic Jew from Israel. And we fell in love. And we met through her art, actually.
By the way, I don't know if you know, but it's very, very rare that an Israeli girl dates an Iranian ex-Muslim Christian.
Exactly. So it was the grace of God. It was a miracle, and it was His plan. So we met through her arts. We met and we talked to her parents, and then God gave us favor and grace. We got married in 2020, and we lived in America for 2.5 years together. And then we felt to come to Israel. We have a love and a passion for Israel, for the Jewish people. And we came here. We came here to Israel. So it's the grace of God. You know, a suicidal, depressed boy in Iran, now to be in Israel here, sitting with you.
I think a common point between Judaism and Islam towards Jesus, towards Yeshua, is his deity.
Yes.
It's a very, very hard thing
That's right.
to try to explain both to the Jews and to the Muslim a triune God, the Trinity, God revealing himself in flesh. How do you do it?
That's right. So it's very difficult. It has to really be a revelation from a spirit. But, if you can get them to the door, God will do the rest. God will basically reveal himself to them. When I became a believer, I didn't know anything about Trinity. I didn't know anything about the Bible. I didn't know anything about...
So you met Yeshua before you read about it.
Exactly, before I had a Bible. So I felt his power, because I felt if he answers me when I asked him to show me, then he's the truth. He's real. And he did. And also
Was it a shock for you that he was the Son of God?
yes, it was shocking to me that this was hidden from me for all these years, that the gospel was illegal and the Bible is illegal, and it was hidden from us. And then when I began to read the New Testament for first time, I saw that everything in the New Testament, everything Jesus said is the message of love, forgiveness, the victory of life over death, the victory of love over hatred. And I saw that he's the Savior, the Redeemer. Everywhere he goes, he's a hero. There's no bread, he provides. There's no, there's water, he walks on it. I mean, he's like the way, but in the most humble way. And I saw the humility and the love of Jesus. You look at the Quran, Muhammad, he claimed to be a prophet when he was 40 years old. And he died when he was 63. So in 23 years of him claiming to be a prophet, his entire life is summed up in sexual perversion, in violence, and war. So, we already have those kind of people in the world. So a person who claimed to be a prophet should be completely different. So you see, look at Jesus. He never touched a sword. He never killed anyone. He never touched a woman in an improper way. He never started a war. And all his message was love. And he only taught for 3.5 years. And it changed the world. So you see the message. And I have heard and experienced that many Muslims come to Jesus through Matthew chapter 5. When they read the Beatitudes and they read that Jesus is teaching, love your enemies, and pray for those who hate you and spitefully use you. And when they see that, in contrast to what they have heard, the jihad, and let's kill the Jews and kill the Christians and the Americans, when they see the contrast, it really touches their heart. But the best way is to educate ourselves about Islam, to understand where the misconception, the lies come from. The Muslims have heard that Bible has been changed. It's a lie. You have to refute that. The Muslims have heard that Christians have perverted the gospel, and you have to refute that, explain to them, and explain how it could not be changed, how the Bible was given in different portions and different times. It's impossible to change it. So we have to refute those lies that they have believed, at the same time in a loving way. We hate Islam, but we love Muslims.
Amen.
We don't hate them. We don't hate Muslims. And these days, because of the war, a lot of Muslims are messaging me, attacking me because I'm in Israel. And I'm responding to them in love. I'm telling them that no, Israel is not the bad person. Israel is not the bad side. I say Israel is a free country. I'm here. They don't bother me. There's a lot, 2.5 million Arab Muslims here. Israel doesn't bother them. They have a good life. They have freedom. They can vote. They can be in elections. So there's so much propaganda that I've heard. If you're a Muslim and you're watching this program, I encourage you to ask the question, what kind of person Muhammad was? What did he do? And what was the fruit of his life? And read the Bible, read the New Testament, read the Injil, and see for yourself the difference. And ask God himself, genuinely, from your heart. Ask God to show you, just as I did. I didn't become a Christian because somebody told me, or I went to this place and I was influenced by them, or I just wanted to know from himself. And he showed to me. Because of his mercy and grace, he revealed himself to me. He showed me. And I know that he is the real and the true and only Savior. So ask in your private time, in your room, ask Jesus that if he is the Son of God, ask him to show you. Say, I want to know, help me to understand, and he will do it.
Ramin, thank you very
so
much to coming to our studio. And to you, our friends, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, pray for the Jews and the Muslim.